Hi, so many of you may know the YouTube channel called Making Records with Eric Valentine, which is a great channel from a producer that has worked with artists like Good Charlotte, Third Eye Blind, Nickel Creek and Queens of the Stone Age, and many more. His channel contains lots of great videos on music production and gear, and I especially enjoyed his series on how he built his dream barn studio in Vermont about 2 years ago. Now he has recently moved his new content to a website called the Audionaut Institute, and you have to pay a small amount for each video. And even though I've only sampled a small part of his content over there, it really seems like a treasure trove of music production, gear, mixing, educational content, which he presents in a great way. So let's have a look at the Audionaut Institute and let's go! Now Eric Valentine seems to be a very busy guy. If you look at his Wikipedia page, you can see that he's produced many artists over the years, starting around 1992, all the way up to, well, at least 2018. And he's also been making videos for years now on his YouTube channel Making Records with Eric Valentine, 158 in total. Lots of great content there. He also owns a company that produces studio hardware, like for example the Unfairchild compressor, which is arguably a better version of the famous Fairchild compressor. And this company is called Undertone Audio, and they're even making a plug-in version of their own hardware, which I had a look at in a separate video, and I'll link it down in the description so you can check it out. Now, as I understand it from one of his introductory videos on the Audionaut Institute, he has kind of moved away from those big music production jobs and wanted to focus more on educational content, some music production here and there now and then, but especially for that educational content, he figured that just making YouTube videos was not really a viable way to make any money from that. And I can concur, YouTube really doesn't pay that much unless you get hundreds of thousands or millions of views on each video. But then you're in luck, but for this relatively small music production niche, it's definitely not easy to make any decent money from it. So most of his deep dives, his new content, are on the Audionaut Institute website, which you can see over here, and there's again the 3 pillars of what he does: his barn studio in Vermont called Sonic Forest, his educational videos, and his studio hardware company called Undertone Audio. But let's focus on the educational content over here, Making Records with Eric Valentine, which contains, well, videos as well as some nerd stuff over here. So you have band recording videos, production deconstructions, a lot of stuff that he did in the past, mix deconstructions, technique spotlights, technology spotlights, videos about drums, bass, guitar, classic tracks, meetings with other engineers, etc. And over here you can also see some of his free videos on the website. But like I said, he tried to monetize his big educational content. For example, these videos over here, if you click watch now, you can see that this one costs $2. It's over 2 hours in length. Or another one, maybe this mixed deconstruction of Nickel Creek, for example, almost 3 hours, $2. So you can pay for each individual video, but I think you can also buy credits on his website, which are these dBs over here. So decibels can be used to purchase videos from the catalog, and then you can buy a couple of decibels and then use them to pay for the videos. So I guess this is his alternative for a subscription. Now, I have extensively watched his free videos on YouTube before, watched some of the free videos that he has released on his new website, and I also purchased one of his latest videos in the Most from the Least series, which I'll talk about more in a minute. But in general, I can say that he really knows his stuff, can talk very eloquently and passionately about music, dives very deep into everything that he talks about, and really explains how he does things and why he does things when he's producing or mixing. So I feel this is really a person who can obviously do the job very well, but that doesn't necessarily mean that somebody can also teach the job very well, right? But he can, definitely. Now I think his website started about 6-8 months ago, so it's still a bit slow, a bit clunky, I have to say, but it's really the content that matters, and I think that's really great, and that's also why I wanted to make this video and tell you about it in case you missed it. Now it may sound like this video is sponsored, but I can assure you it's not. I don't even have an affiliate link to his site or anything like that. I just wanted to tell you that I think this is a really great resource for music production and mixing knowledge. Now, before I go into more detail about one of the videos that he just released, if you like this video or find it useful at all, please give it a big thumbs up for the YouTube algorithm so that it gets shown to more people. Subscribe to the channel and ring the little bell icon so you know when I release another video. For even more support, you can use the super thanks button below the video, which is kind of a virtual tip jar. Or when you intend to buy anything at one of these online stores anyway, I have affiliate links in the description, and if you click the link to the store before you buy anything over there, I will get a small commission without any additional cost to you, which is highly appreciated and keeps at least this YouTube channel going. Now, a video that I recently purchased and watched is in his Most from the Least series, and it was shot in his house in Topanga, which is very near LA as I understand it. It's apparently where they stay the colder months of the year, when he's not in Vermont in his new studio. So he's away from all his fancy and high-end studio gear, and that's why it's called Most from the Least. Because he tried to produce music in that series with a very minimal setup. Just a laptop, some small Atom audio speakers, some cheap instruments, some cheap microphones. And he wanted to find out for himself, as well as for his audience, whether he could actually make quality music, quality productions with just that very budget gear in fact. Maybe gear like we have in our home studios and trying to use to make the best music that we can. Now I'll show small parts of this video. Eric, if you ever see this, I hope you don't mind, but let's have him explain what this video is about. So this is Most from the Least Jam number 2, 90s and 2000s modern rock. It's almost 4 hours and it cost me $3, so for the price of a cup of coffee, you can watch this great video.
Welcome back to Making Records with Eric Valentine. That's me. All right, we're doing it. This is round 2 of Most from the Least, and I'm going for it. I'm going to try and just make the biggest modern rock, super duper blown out, explosive, powerful, punchy, whatever rock recording of all time on a laptop in my house. So that's what we're trying to do. And it was quite a journey to get here.
So that's what he's trying to do in this video with very modest gear. Try to produce a big rock song 90s 2000s style. Now in the next segment he talks a little bit about the drum recording with really very affordable, maybe even cheap microphones.
And as you saw, I'm adding 2 microphones to my collection of stuff. I bought these MXL V67 microphones, assuming they're supposed to be somewhat like, you know, a Neumann U67. I needed something for room mics, and I wanted to go with condenser mics, something with phantom power that would just have a little more level, because they're probably going to be, you know, pretty far from the drums. I got those for that purpose. I think they're $89 a piece, and incorporated them into the setup. And so here is the starting place for the drum miking setup. You can see what my first guess was as what would work with everything.
Here's the first attempt here, first position for the drum kit mics. That approach seems to work.
Now he actually shows the setup of how he recorded drums, where the mics are positioned, with the drum set in his living room, and really provides some great information along the way. Now the last segment that I wanted to show you is about how he recorded electric guitar. Because he didn't have very expensive amplifiers to mic, he actually used virtual guitar amps to get the sound for this record, like we might do in our home studios, right? So let's have a quick look at that.
And so then the Tonex, and this is, I don't know what this is. I think this is just sort of like a optimized overall amp simulation based on a variety of things. It's not, doesn't seem to be based on any specific amp. It's just a Tonex amp, and it's a really great sounding model. And so let's hear this thing. So of course, that's what the DI sounds like.
So he just recorded a DI from the guitar basically, and then sent it through this Tonex virtual amp to get his sound. He also has another virtual amp simulation that he uses in this. And I have to say, as a guitar player myself, I think he really gets great sounds from this. Now, after this video was released, he also released all the multi-tracks for this for a mixing contest. So he basically challenged everyone to try to use these tracks and also make it into something great and beautiful like he did himself. So I imported all of these multi-tracks in Cubase, along with the mix that he made of all these multi-tracks. So let's listen to a few parts of these multi-tracks, and I have not made a mix of it yet at all. I just set the volumes and some panning in a couple of minutes. But let's listen to how the basic tracks sound. Now obviously for the guitars and bass, these are DIs, so there's no amp tone on them yet, so you can add those yourself in the mix. But let's compare these raw tracks to the mix that he created from it. a little bit of the verse maybe.
Face, you're so different now. Us human, not so fragile in the flesh. Let's put it to the test. Now it's the miles and miles that sharpen the ice that cuts so deep. Safely away the brave will say and do anything at all.
Yeah, as you can hear, it's quite a metamorphosis of these raw tracks into the actual mix. And in this video, he goes through the whole process of how he actually did this. And for me, there were definitely a lot of wow moments and things that will end up in the next mix that I do for sure. Now, I will leave a link to the Audionaut Institute in the description below, so you can check it out yourself. Like I said, there's also quite a lot of free stuff on there, in which you can check whether his style of teaching and talking about music gels with you as well, but it definitely did for me. Now, if you check out his website or his YouTube channel, please let me know what you think as well. I'm really interested to see how you guys feel about this. Now, like I already mentioned, Eric also owns a company called Undertone Audio, which makes studio equipment, hardware, but they also make one plugin, which is an emulation of their Unfairchild compressor. And I already did a separate video about that, which I'll link over here. Check it out, enjoy, and see you soon.